starts filling at first premium is 940, right? So it's filling at 840, excuse me, 840, 840, 840, 840. It's still filling 840. Now it's starting to fill at 835 here in the same second. We're still at 940.42, and it goes from 840 to 835 to 830, and we're still in the same timestamp. We're getting fills at 805 now. Again, we're still at 940.42. So this is all happening in the same, just like millisecond. This much volume, which is not that much as far as the trade is concerned. This one's only like 800 volume, but it continues to go on, right? So we have 840.43, so like a second or two later, it starts filling at 815 consistently, 810, 805, and then there's like even 8 fills. 8 fills here, 8. So you can kind of see how the tape is moving in real time as the order book for this contract is seeing activity, right? So the dealers, they don't want to sell the contract for 840 anymore. So then they start offering 830, 835, 815, 810. So a pretty good example of a very likely sold position, or I mean, clearly not a buy, right? The offer is dropping as the volume is taking place. So I think that's a pretty good example. There are other ones as well. Let's take the first chat mention. What contract is this? The 285 May. Let's take a look here. I can just find it over here. 285 May, 285 May, right? Or where? Oh, I'm looking at Amazon. That's why I can't find it. Here we go. So the Apple 285 May position, which was started on January 26th. We see about 70,000 plus volume. Open interest increases by about 70,000, so everything checks out there. Let's see, this candle fills at $4.99. This one fills at $5.13. So the average premium for the day was $5.08. And they are likely still in the position in full. We don't see any big volume for them to have been exiting the position. Maybe a couple thousand here and there, but like 95% of the position is likely still open. Again, average price $5.06 on the day of the trade. And it just closed at $12.40. So what is that? 100% plus, a little bit more, sprinkle a little bit more on top of that. Anthony with the 155% math. Yep, there you go. So something like that. Nice trade. Apple has had some pretty good flows as well. There was the 262.5 this week's expiration, which were open on Friday, right in the morning, pretty much at the stone lows. Pretty amazing trade here at 128. They're trading at 14 plus now, so that is close to 10. We'll just give them credit for a 10x there. These guys sold, I believe, the 270, 213. There was some big volume here. It doesn't look great on the chart here. Let me actually pull the tweet up. It looks a little bit better in the tweet, perhaps. Yep, so here's what it looked like at the time of the trade. The Apple 270 213s. Open interest into the session was 2,400, and then we're seeing, I'm just eyeballing it, 3,000 contracts. See 3 bars of about 1,000 size, so 3,000. Very likely an opening trade here, given the low open interest. And they closed out. Suspected they start closing out here. We have a candle of about 1,000 volume. Again, nothing is telling me specifically that it's them. We just got to make a couple leaps of faith here and there. Where's my follow-up tweet? Yeah, so then there's more volume a little bit later in the day. So they probably closed out there. But yeah, Apple, obviously good relative strength lately. One of the only mag names that's been working. They do it these 277.5 next week expiration. These were opened on Monday as well. I posted these in the Discord. These have done pretty nicely. It's hard to tell if they're still in the position, right? So this position was about 2,000 volume, and there's no 2,000 size candle that exactly matches this, but it's probably, so who knows? They could have pieced out in little bits. They might still be holding. An example of flow in which you can just kind of tell that they probably aren't in the position is something like this, right? So we're seeing the SMH 365 February 20 position. On January 26th, we have 700 open interest going into the session. When you have a big fat 7,000 size trade, it's an opening trade. Simple maths. Open interest increases as we would expect it to. And then today we have another 7,000, size candle. So like we'll just kind of take a leap of faith here. Hey, I know of a 7,000 size position already. When someone else, or when I'm seeing 7,000 volume, that might be that trader, right? So should see open interest decrease here. Speaking of open interest decreases or lack thereof, where is that chain? Is it this one right here? Nope. Where is it? Give me a second to find it on Twitter. What was it? What was the keyword? Print, perhaps. Print. Here it is. So the Google 335 320. Was it Goog L or Goog? Goog 335 320. Here we go. Here's a great example of just like some stuff that's going on, right? An example of a whole bunch of things that I like to talk about. So 1,000 open interest going into the session, cool. When you see 10,000 volume, you must do the math. Like 10,000 is clearly bigger than 1,000, right? 1,000 cannot accommodate 1,000 contracts cannot accommodate 10,000 contracts being closed. So it's just simple by process of reverse elimination or whatever. We know it's an opening trade. We're seeing similar volume yesterday, which if we just rewind to what I said 2 minutes ago, right? If we know of a position that's 10,000 size and we see 10,000 volume coming in here in like the same fashion, we must use our brains and link the trades. And lo and behold, the open interest decreases, but not by what you might expect it to decrease by, right? So it's a 10,000 size position, right? If 10,000 contracts are opened, the open interest increases in this case by around 10,000. But how come it did decrease by 10,000 when 10,000 contracts were closed? That's an excellent question, and this is an example of why when you're tracking whales, you must not only track the open interest, but you must also track the volume. If you're only tracking the open interest of this contract, you might think, oh, this trader closed maybe 1,500 or 2,000 contracts, give or take. What is that number? 10,600 minus, okay, so about 2,000, give or take. But no, they've actually closed the whole 10,000 position. And that's something you would only really be able to know by looking at all of this data in its totality. The volume, the open interest, the volume, the open interest, how the volume itself looks. And to answer why the open interest doesn't decrease by 10,000 here. So what actually happens is, so when this trader goes to close their position, yes, they've closed their position, right? They've closed their position, they've gone home, but when they closed it, someone else, not the market maker who originally opened the position for them, but someone else just out there just happened to be in the market for however many contracts that they didn't close. So in this instance, maybe 8,000. Now, that's not to say that there's still 8,000 contracts of flow that's worth tailing here. I think I generally tend to ignore / forget about the trade once it's been closed. Of course, there's still probably 8,000 short contracts here of the 335 March, but once the original trader has shed their hands of them, I just don't really have any more interest in keeping up with the trade. If you do, that's fine. It's just personal preference. I'm sure there's a right answer or wrong. There's probably not a right answer or wrong answer, just, again, preference. See here, moving on in the Discord chat. If you guys are on Twitter / YouTube, I don't know how you guys are going to get the message to me. Maybe Nick is going to do that. We'll see here. So the 265 March. Have a big opener here. Is it a buy? Is it a sell? Who knows? We do see large ask-side activity, but that is not a guarantee that it is a buy. I've seen a lot of Google ask-side puts that were probably short, and let's take a look at the tape here. Maybe the tape that we went over in the beginning of the stream can give us a little clue here. Actually, that's the wrong one. Let me do that. So again, the tape, we're just trying to look at, and there's not always going to be clues here, and in this case, there probably isn't. So what I'm looking for was a situation like we were looking at here, where there's a lot of, not necessarily all this hundreds of lines of data, but I want enough data to where I can see, enough of the tape, quote unquote, to see. I want to see the bid ask like moving as the trade is filling, right? So in this instance, over the course of like 2 or 3 seconds, this 4,000-ish size trade was being sent out to all the exchanges where it started getting filled. Again, started getting filled at 840. We saw fills all the way down to 8 most likely. Now, nothing is telling me that all of this activity is linked. Like, this activity that's coming in at the same time, I can very, very well reason that it's linked. But some of this stuff that's happening 2 seconds later, like nothing's expressly linking it, but we just have to observe that like this flurry of volume took place in like a very short period of time. So it lends itself to probably being the same trader. So now there is, yes, there is an ask side transaction here of 1,500 contracts at or closer to the ask, not exactly on the ask. But when we look at the totality of the quote unquote flow, when we look at the tape, we can see that the tape looked not so great before this, single ask side transaction of, again, 1,500 size, when the trade itself was close to 4,500 size. So this is only 1/3 of the trade. The rest of the trade filled before. So it might be a similar example to this Google, but there's just, in this instance, it doesn't seem like there's that much quote unquote tape for us to look at. It just kind of filled on this this singular line here. And on a kind of a wide spread, right? The spread is 13 cents, which isn't a lot, but it's not a little either. So a bit wide, effectively in the mid, honestly, for all intents and purposes. So not the clearest flow. Could it be a buy? Yes. Could it be a sell? Also, yes. The open interest is going to increase by 5,000-6,000 tomorrow. Does that mean that it's 5,000 or 6,000 contracts long? No, it just means that 5,000 or 6,000 contracts were opened. Open contracts can be both long or short, long and short, however you want to say it. So, the open interest is going to increase, but that doesn't confirm anything really. It doesn't confirm buy or sell. It just confirms that a position was opened and carried into the next session. That's really it. Let's see this link here. What are we looking at? Okay, so we're looking at, just at a glance, more open interest than volume, so probably not an opening trade, or probably not an opening trade. We just can't identify if it's an opening trade or not. Perhaps there's other information that we can get to, but let's see here. Let's take a look at the chart. So okay, this is from the other day actually. So the chart tells you a lot of information. The chart and the open interest. So I guess here's kind of an example of what I just mentioned. Like, we don't know for certain if this activity on January 29th, right here, we don't know if it was a buy or a sell. What we do know is that pretty much all of the contracts traded on the 29th were held through the close. Maybe not all, but like a vast majority of them. Open interest skyrockets from 274 to 8,300 plus. The contracts were transacted mostly at the ask. I like to say transacted because I think that's like the only that's the only true way to phrase it. We don't know if they were buyers or sellers, but I do know that it's a transaction, right? So simple. So they were opened on the 29th, cool. And then we see on the 4th, yesterday, we see similar-ish volume, right? It's not in the same shape. It's not taking place in one go, or one or two goes like it did here. It's taking place over several candles. But the volume is similar. And the open interest is decreased by 6,000 in this instance. Now, how can the open interest decrease by 6,000? It can only really decrease by 6,000 if someone has more than 6,000 contracts. And someone who I do know that has more than 6,000 contracts is this person from the 29th who has at least 8,000 contracts, right? So this trader probably closed out most of their position, if not all. But we don't know if they bought the contracts here and sold them here. We don't know if they shorted them here or bought them here. The activity yesterday was mostly at the ask. Like far more at the ask than the opening activity. So the closing flow is mostly at the ask. The opening flow is mostly at the ask. So, I mean, your guess is, who knows, right? So yeah, this is a good example. We see a clear opener. It's clearly being opened on the 29th, and it was clearly closed yesterday, right? The only person who could have closed this many contracts, 6,000, is the person who did whatever they did on the 29th, right? So piece together a lot of the different information here, but we're still kind of left to wonder what really happened. Saw a lot of chip flow that looked like this too. Wonder if I can just, I think I can see if I just go to the Open Interest Explorer, show me the decreases in open interest for some of the chip names, like what was it, like AMD, what else was there? I think, yeah, so here's one. Here's an example. So on the 29th, again, I think it might have been the same trader because I kind of been seeing patterns of similar-ish looking stuff going on. So again, like what do we see here? So from if this is the first time you're seeing this contract, that's fine. You're gonna learn a lot about it just by looking at what we're looking at here. You're not gonna learn everything there is to know because there's just some stuff that we'll never know. Like we'll never know if it was a buy or a sell, but what we do know is that on the 29th, going into the session, there was only 370 open interest. So for all intents and purposes, like just no open interest. 30,000 contracts hit, boom, huge increase in open interest. So, let's give the trader credit for around 28,000 contracts, give or take. Who can close 15,000 contracts on the 30th? Only someone who had 15,000 or more contracts, right? And the only person who could have done that was whoever it was on the 29th. So they've partly closed their position here. I'm not really quite sure what happened on the 3rd. Probably nothing negligible. But then there's 16,000 volume here with a large decrease in open interest here, which can only, again, be attributed to this trader right here. So like if you kind of do like the napkin math, like the trader had like around in the high 28,000-ish contracts here. They maybe close like 17,000-ish here. So they have like maybe 11,000-ish left. And then the remainder could have been closed out here. So, I mean, you can kind of piece together like how they were going in and out of the contract. But what we don't know if they made. I mean, like hopefully these were a buy and sell here. Otherwise, they would have potentially lost a unfathomable amount of money. I think Nvidia had a very, very similar look thing to it too. Was it this one? No. Maybe. If I just see here, if we just go back into if I just look at the historical data, I see 66,000 contracts traded against 12,000 open interest, a very, very large increase in open interest. So I at least know that this stuff going on here was being opened. And there were some closures going on as well. So this was a little bit harder to track, but like still in the same vein, the same thought of like using open interest, volume, the chart to like kind of help you piece together what's going on, help you track whales in and out of positions. Click on this next one. RSP, that's the equal weight thingamabobber, right? Yep. Okay. So the equal weight, let's see, 10,000 contracts opened, right? We know for certain they were opened. 10,000 contracts just hit in one pop, 238 open interest. So like just clearly easy maths. Let's take a look at the tape here. Gonna give myself like a 1K minimum, which is gonna be too low. Yeah, let's try 5K. I'm just putting like an arbitrary number here. I just want to see a little bit of the tape. I want to see it move a little bit like we did. Let's see here. All right, so the trade starts filling at around, I guess, 2:42, 43 p.m. Eastern. Starts filling at 590, 590 still. Some 580s, maybe a little bit, 570s, 6. So, I mean, it's clearly being open. This tape's a bit murky, though. The tape is just kind of bouncing all around. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. So this one's like, it's clearly an opener. We've clearly established it's an opener just by simply just volume and open interest and the way the volume looks. But whether it is a buy, I am not sure. Let me see here. I guess that's not a good example. So I don't know. Who knows? Clearly an opener, for sure an opener. Who knows? What is this actually looking like? Just the chart itself. So I mean, the equal weight is pretty much at all-time highs. So can't be too bad out there, right? Can't be too bad out there. The equal weight is pretty much at all-time highs. All right. I've caught up with the chat, so I'm just gonna click around until I find something to talk about. What reports tonight? It's going to be another big afternoon of earnings.
To those watching on YouTube and Twitter, feel free to drop any flow requests you have in those respective chats.
Yep, he'll copy and paste those over, and I'll give it a look. But again, tonight's earnings, Amazon, Master, IREN, ClearSpark, or CleanSpark, whatever it is, CleanSpark, Bloom Energy, Roblox, Reddit, A-Firm, whatever this health thingy is. Oh, nope, microchips, FTNT, cybersecurity thingy, mabobber, a couple other stuff going on here. But obviously the big one is Amazon. And again, there's a big, fat, scary Amazon position. I guess it's not really scary anymore because Amazon's already shit the bed since they opened it. So So they started opening it on the 2nd, in the afternoon of the 2nd, just after noon. So let me just look over this chart here. So, I mean, look at when they started. They started their position right here. The cursor keeps disappearing, so I'm just going to keep wiggling it around. But they started the position right here. They started shorting their contracts right here. And then they shorted them just all day February 3rd. February 3rd, you can see the net call premium just shitting. Yesterday, the 4th, it's doing the same thing. You're going to see the same look on Google, I think. These trades are so big that they just took up so much of it. Again, February 2nd, middle of the day. February 2nd, middle of the day, net call premiums taking a dump. February 3rd, all day. February 3rd, all day. February 4th, all day, but just like not as much volume. You can kind of see that here as well. So yeah, I'm sure the Microsoft will give us the same look. If I can, is it still here? Did I delete it? All right, so let's like go back in time. So how can I go back in time real quick here? It's a little hack if you want to look at an expired contract. All right, so Microsoft 445C, I have the right strike. That'll do. I'm going to get link to contract. I'm going to drop it in here. I'm going to manipulate the URL. Expired on 1/30. Let me put that back in here. So yeah, here's Microsoft. We can see the chart up to when it expired. I got to finagle the net premium chart here. Got to look at the 14-day. Okay, so January 27th they started. January 28th they continued. January 27th, January 28th. And then this decrease right here was just from everyone deleveraging Microsoft because they were too long. But yeah, these 2 days right here equal up to this activity. So it was just some huge activity that like it affected the net premium. And like when it affects like a mega cap's net premium, that's how you know it's like a big trade. And again, Amazon, the trade is less scary now because they've already made so much money. Amazon stock, again, they started shorting the calls right here. So pretty much at the top, the absolute top. So just a hell of a trade. And if you add up the premiums, it's going to be like over 225 plus mil, which is not bad for a week's work. Can't say I've ever made that much money in a week or ever. Anthony's comment here, good tool to show you the market maps. Let me get a little bit more familiar with it before I click around and make a fool of myself and talk out of my ass. But that is I have heard good things about that. So I'll need to check it out myself. Need to expand my horizons a little bit for sure. What is the market doing right now as we speak? Just nothing, just sad days everywhere. So the options watch list, it's come to my attention that many people don't use the options watch list nearly as much as they should, and it hurts my feelings because it's such a great tool. Honestly, like I have all the contracts that I'm quote unquote watching. I can sort it by volume during the session, so I can click around and say, hey, oh, I see that the SMH contracts that I've been tracking, I see that there's a good bit of volume here. Let me look at the chart. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, I can see that the position that I was tracking since the 26th, I can see that it might be getting close today. Oh, I'm going to check open interest tomorrow. Tomorrow morning in the pre-market, I'm going to sort by increase and decrease by open interest, and I'm going to see like what happened. So yeah, oh, here's that AMD flow that we just looked at 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. I think the AVGO was another one that had a very similar look here. So again, on the 29th of January, clear opening activity, right? Just no open interest to speak of. Big volume, big change in open interest. Cool, cool. Big volume, big decrease in open interest that can only be attributed to this activity. So who knows what it was, and who knows if they made money or lost money. But yeah, this page will update in the pre-market with your open interest values. So just flipping to the increases and decreases is just like a really chill thing to do. NVIDIA 140p March 6th hit pretty big yesterday, mostly at the bid. So I guess we can assume that they are short puts. But again, we're just making an assumption. The open interest increasing by that much after a big day of bid side activity does not necessarily mean that all of these contracts are short. Do I have a QYLD contract to show NDX? NDX, do we have the NDX contract? We do not. I guess we'll find it next stream. Give me 1 second to grab something, a resource. I'm going to link this resource in the Discord chat. Maybe someone can relay it to the other chats. I don't know how that works. But check out this article that will go over these contract charts that I've been flipping through. Kind of wrote this as I would be talking to kind of give it a more real feel. It's not AI. It's just me typing like exactly how I might think about it. So give this a look over. I won't go over it right now because like I kind of go over it every stream just by like kind of quickly flipping through the contracts. I'm not giving you guys much time. If you're unfamiliar with the charts, I'm not really giving you much time to look at what I'm doing. But this article will, it'll be good for you. Because most of the information on the chart, you can just grab it. Like once you know what to look for, you'll grab it real quickly. I know there's like 10,000 jillion numbers on the screen, but like once you know what to look for, you're just going to hone in on like exactly, oh, the volume, the open interest. Okay, cool. No multi-leg activity, cool. Total premium, bid ask. Here's what the chart looks like. Okay, cool. Like it's gonna be quick. So it's a longish article, but it'll help you. Bearing Bull is asking, you may have mentioned this, but is there a way to know whether a position is a buy to open or a sell to open? So no, we'll say no. There's no way to know for certain. We can only make inferences. Now something I guess like this WDC 325 213. Like yes, we're seeing a whole bunch of ask side activity coming in here, but like when someone is buying contracts, like they're not creeping in here. Like, you know, here's 259.09, 259.20. Like, this isn't really a tape that you can read, in my opinion. The transactions aren't coming in close enough. Like, I want to see transactions coming in like the same second or two. This just kind of feels like a lazy opening contracts that are probably short. What was the example I had of that? I think it might have been these. Yeah. So like these Microsoft 480 Augusts, a very similar look. Let's go back in time to the chart. Give me 1 second here to jump back here to the day of. All right. So this is them on the day of the trade. Let's just get rid of this stuff right here. So on February 2nd, 6,000-ish volume, 600 open interest. So like very clear opening activity going on here, but like it's coming in over the course of like 15 minutes, you know, and if like, I don't know about you, but when I want to buy something, I just buy it in one go, you know? That's not to say that fills coming in like over the course of a few minutes aren't buys, but like, I don't know, just like, I know everyone wants a reason to be bullish, but it just doesn't feel great. Let's look at the tape here. I wonder if this was an example. I had an image. Give me 1 second here. Microsoft 480C. I'm clicking around the Discord here. All right, so I'm gonna link something in the Discord. Maybe if Nick, I don't know if you can share your screen and click over to that link, but dropped my thought. And let me see here. I guess I could just take a screenshot. No, I can't. So here's what the tape kind of looked like when I saw it live. Here's the screenshot of the Discord. But like, yes, so like, yeah, it's mostly coming in at the ask, but it's coming in over the course of like 7 minutes, right? It's just kind of, it's just filling. The contracts are being filled. I guess we can see that the IV is also decreasing, which does not lend itself to stuff being bought. This actually kind of supports the theory that they were being shorted. Now, do I know that they were being shorted? I don't. Like if we want to have like a hindsight look based on the chart, like, I mean, if they bought them, they're down $800 a contract. And if they shorted them, then they're up $800 a contract. So who knows if they bought them or shorted them. We do know that for certain that they were opened, right? The volume and open interest tell us that much at least. And looking at the tape in the moment, I kind of thought that they were short. But again, just an assumption, just like a gut read. It's not a perfect science. Unfortunately, a lot of guesswork involved here. You just got to try to back the best horse that you can. Let's see. So yeah, WDC, not really sure. Yeah, and the fills. So they were filling as high as like 142. It's now trading at 106, which is a pretty fucking steep decrease in like 5 minutes. So hopefully you didn't snag these. I'm pretty sure you don't want to be snagging these. Not financial advice. Make your own trades. But yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, that's the WDC mojo that we just kind of naturally just saw it happening. Not really a fan of it. Would not probably buy it. If it hits, congratulations, but I don't like it. Google 350 220. Is that the one? That has been shared, but I am not seeing what I am supposed to be seeing. Oh, potentially this. So what happened here? November 28th. What happened in the historical data? November 28th, we see a bigly Google position, mostly at the ask, with contracts being opened. Cool, cool. Another very, very, very important data point is that basically 100% of all of this volume, so actually 99% of all 27,294 volume was attached to another trade. So we need to go find out what that other trade was. So we can see the 350 February is being opened here. Cool, cool. But we do see that they are a multi-leg trade. Let's find out what they are. So they were attached to 340 March. So if I zoom out on the chart, I should see it right here. So 340 March, were these March? We got to look at the historical open interest to try to figure out what happened there. So here's the 28th. That's when they rolled. So the original 350 220 position, which was an opened, it was a roll down and closer or roll up and closer in expiration. But this position, the 340 March, was actually started on the 24th. So the 350. So the original position that we're looking at, this is not the start of the trade. So although the open interest doesn't increase until the 28th on this specific contract, this trade itself did not start on this day. It did not. It potentially didn't even start on this day. So like what was attached? Like what was the deal here? So on the 24th, the 340 March. On the 24th, the 340 March, what was this guy attached to? This was attached to something that took place in January. So this trade did not even take place in February. It took place in January at some point. The 305C was opened here, closed here, which was when it was opened here. So this trade may have started as far back as October. Let's see here. So now I'm looking at the Google 305 January. Let's go back to October. So I can see on October 29th, the trade was started, but I can see that it was also probably rolled into from something else. Let's go back to October 29th. Why not? Got lucky and click here. So, I mean, it used to be a 280 most likely. So Google 280 January, which was opened here, closed here, just by looking at the volume, you can just tell. So opened here, closed here in favor of the 305, which was closed here in favor of something else. This is actually a trade that might have been following on Twitter for quite some time. I remember tracking a Google roll, a pretty hefty roll. Let me see here. Google 280 January. Google 280C. Google 280. Yep. So I was actually tracking this one. Google 280C on October 29th, right? That was a date, right? October 29th. Yep, October 29th. Yep. So this is one that I actually saw a while ago. But you can see that like there's so much more to the picture than just this singular 27,000 size activity, right? There's like a whole history behind it that isn't like you would have no idea just by looking. If you just looked at this and you looked at the historical data, like you would have no idea. Like you have to actually click back and like, I don't know, it can get very complicated. So I mean, this trade has made a lot of money. It's losing a lot of money right now, but they've probably already made so much in profit that this trade can go to zero. This leg can probably go to zero, and they'll still have made like, I don't know, 100 mil at least. It was such a huge trade for such a long time. So yeah, all right, it's 308. We still got a little bit left. Let me get a swig of my drink. Is that ticker now, Dan? Ticker NOW, is that ticker now? If so, I'll look it up here. All right, so earnings calendar, back to the earnings calendar. Amazon, what has it done historically? Historically, no trend on expected versus actual move. So the gray bar is the move that the options market is priced in. So today, or for the weekly move is 7.34%. Previous quarter was, let's see here, 6.06%, excuse me. And when it's red, that means it traded outside of the expected move. When it's green, it traded inside the expected move. So no trend here to see. But yeah, I mean, this like in the money call writers kind of just got me bummed out. Very sad, very sad. Congratulations and F you. All right, let me check out this contract that Dan just shared here. We got the now. The 120. All right, so it's a call spread. Let me look up one of the legs. So the 120 call spread. Here's. All right, so here's one leg of the contract that he shared. What do we see right off the bat? We see right off the bat 400 open interest and 1,000 volume coming in here in one go. So this is a clear opening trade. But we also see that 94% of the daily volume was attached to a multi-leg trade. Now, take a wild guess which volume that 94% belongs to. I'll let you think for a second. It's this one. All right. So let's see. It is a multi-leg trade. Let's take a look at what the other leg potentially is. So this is probably a three-legged trade. A three-legged trade. We can see the 120 that was originally requested here. Change in open interest is good. The 150. The 150 wasn't clearly an opener just because there was more open interest in volume, but the open interest going up even slightly, I think, secures that it was an opener. Again, because contracts can be kind of handed off and remain in open interest, right? Just because you close 10 contracts doesn't mean the open interest will go down by 10. It could theoretically go down by 0. So yeah, just keep that in mind. 95p clear opener, only 127 open interest, 1,000 volume. So let's see here, Dan. What do you think this trade was? A risk reversal? So a risk reversal call spread type deal. So potentially short the 95 put expiring in June for 630. And this trade is actually 630 as well. So is that $0? That would look to be $0, right? 650 or 630, 630. So potentially a free trade to open. Now you put yourself at risk of a bigly assignment should the 95p get in the money. But this trade costs $0 to put on. This trade costs this trader $0 to put on, and the max gain would be $3,000 a contract. $3,000 a contract times 1,000 contracts is, what is that? 3 mil? 3 mil? 300,000? I can't do the math. I went to public school. It sounds like 3 mil, right? 6 zeros. 6 zeros? Yeah, 3 mil. I don't know. But yeah, big potential risk if the 95p were to be assigned. So know your risk when you short options, right? Know your risk. Know your risk. I don't know what to say. You just need to know your risk. All right. Let's see. Someone has requested the SQQQ 74 call expiring 220. So a clear opener, right? Easy as day. 300 open interest. We see a big fat stick. Clearly an opener. It's coming in at the ask. So initial face value read is that maybe they're buying, but we don't know. I mean, we're never going to know. We can look at the tape, but the tape won't confirm or deny anything. It'll just maybe strengthen our thesis. We can see this activity increasing the net call premium right here for SQQQ. Let's take a look at the tape. So we can see this activity just came in on a single timestamp pretty much, the 1:08:48 Eastern timestamp. We're seeing every trade of this 5-minute window. So this trade just filled real quick here. About 2,400 contracts. And the tape doesn't really do much. We do see some movement in the ask, but like that nothing else is going on. So Hard to say. Hard to say. An opener for certain. An opener for certain, but who knows? Oh, this must have had a reverse split, right? And this thing used to be in like the single digits at one point. I mean, it always reverse splits, right? Because it always goes to zero eventually. All right. So yeah, to answer your question, smart money hedge. Who knows? Amazon reports after close again, and that'll obviously dictate quite a bit of the mood for Friday. So yeah, they're short like at least 47,000 of these, but they started writing them and getting $19 per, and they're now trading at $8 per. So they made over 50%, about 50% gain here, and slightly under 50% gain here. So many, many millions of dollars. $15 or not $15, 15 minutes left, excuse me. What's going on? A Joe named Joe. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Anything happening here? Anything happening? Google, Amazon 250 is this one. Okay, so we do see some multi-leg volume here, which is probably coming from these. Let's take a look here. What's going on? Okay, so this is attached to stock, so I'm not interested in that. This one's also attached to stock, so I'm not interested in that. Anything going on? I'm just kind of looking for stuff that I already know is open that may be getting closed. And how would I know it would be getting closed potentially? If I see similar volume. I guess here's potentially an example. The SNDK 720 March calls that we saw get opened earlier here. So we see on the 28th, or on the 29th, excuse me, on the 29th, 600-ish activity or 600-ish volume, which was a clear opener because the open interest was only 84. So we see the open interest increase as you would expect. The next session, another 500 or so contracts traded, which was not clearly an opener just because there was more open interest than volume. But if you wait till open interest updates the next day, we can see that did increase. So these two candles were both opens. Now we don't know if they were buys to opens or sell to open. We just know that they were opens. And then on the second, we have another day of volume. Now I initially thought this might have been a close just because the numbers kind of support it, right? 600 plus 500 equals about 1100. So I thought it was a close, but we do see the open interest increase the next day. So these 3 days were all openers. Again, we don't know if they were buys to open or sells to open. We just know for sure that they were opened. So what does that add to? That adds up to like around 2,000, give or take. Now we do see 2,000-ish activity today. So there is some possibility that this is a close. Is it a profitable close? Potentially. I mean, they might have made it. They bought, I don't know if they bought them, but they opened the position originally for $40, $49, $57, and if they're selling the whole thing for $50, it's close. It's close. They probably made a few bucks. No, it's probably close, but who knows? The open interest might go up tomorrow, but I suspect it will go down. But we'll see. Let me know if you follow up on it. Let me know what you do. What'd you see? I'll check it tomorrow. Again, the watch list, so easy to use. The options watch list. Once you have all the contracts that you're interested in, so easy to flip through the volume, the overnight increase in open interest, the decrease, and just see everything you really want to see about the contract. I know some people were using the save flow feature, which you can do just by, I don't even have it enabled because I just never use it. This little flag here, you can save trades, but it's like, I don't know. You don't want to save the trade itself. You're more interested in the contract, I think. Yeah, so like I can save this VC individual trade here, or I can just add it to my watch list and I'll forever be able to reference it quickly. I mean, you can still reference it if you save it, but like it's just difficult. And speaking of this random trade or random flow that I just clicked on, let me kill some of these tabs. So we have a clear opener of 10,000 volume right here. And we have another 10,000 volume here. So it's probably the same trader. Now this is a for sure open because 10,000 contracts cannot be accommodated by 208 open interest. So this was a clear opener. Now are they closing here? Are they opening? You'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. The possible open interest values for tomorrow could be anywhere from 0 to 2,000 or 20,000, excuse me. So anywhere from 0 to 20,264. Could potentially be 10,000-ish as well, or any value between, honestly. You just have to wait and see. But it's a good exercise to be like, all right, so if the open interest does this tomorrow, then what does that mean? If the open interest does that tomorrow, then what does it mean? So like if the open interest goes up by 20,000 tomorrow, then you know that both of these candles are opening. If the open interest goes up by 10,000 or less tomorrow, then you know that one of these was opening, one of these was closing. And if the open interest is like nothing tomorrow, then you know for certain that this is an opening and this is a close. There's many ways to kind of know if it was an open close, but again, we don't know if they were buys to open or sells to open. But you can very easily tell when stuff is being opened, which is like half the battle, maybe more than half, because too many people just see individual transactions, but like don't look at the big picture to see if they were being opened, if there's any historical data that could eliminate or support a thesis or anything like that. Master, what a fucking dumpster fire, eh? Just a miserable stock, honestly. Who even knows what the point of it is? All right, last 10 minutes. Ooh, ouch! I just cramped. All right. Let's see. So Joe, before you popped in here, we went over that WDC real quick here. I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I guess it recovered, but I don't know. I just feel like they're not. Oh, maybe it didn't recover. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think they're buying. Just kind of lazy entries. Let's see here. The BE Till. I'm not quite sure what you're looking for on that BE. Let me know if you can give me a contract. Let's see here. We got the Philip Morris 175p weeklies. So some activity going on here today, but it's very unclear what is going on. This first stuff is an open for sure. How do I know it's an open? There's 156 open interest, and then we see, what is that, like 700-ish volume coming in here. Now this volume is probably them as well. Again, you'll have to wait for the open interest to see what the deal is. This thing reports tomorrow morning, so it's effectively an earnings trade. But yeah, it's hard to tell if they're opening and closing or what's going on here, which is why like sometimes like the single candle is like the best sometimes, because like you get, you know, a little bit more. Like you don't have to think about if it's an open or a close. Sometimes you just know it's a straight open, stuff like that. So you're saying BE reports tonight? Yep, I did see that earlier when we looked at the calendar. Let's take a look at the BE options activity and see if there's anything that stands out immediately. The 200 calls, too much multi-leg. I mean, all these chains have too much multi-leg. Yeah, I mean, the BE flow, there's probably nothing individual in it today. I do see one big spike in call activity that took place at 10:30. I guess I'll see what that could have been. Maybe it was this right here. Nope, not that one. Let's see. Who's calling me? Stop calling me. Not that one. Not that one. 10:30. 10:30. Might have been this one. Nope. Probably this one. Could have been it. 3 million. Maybe this and something else, but I don't know. The point is, BE, not a whole lot going on. Let's see here. BE, what does it do historically? Historically, it is a theta monster. More often than not, you are better off shorting options than buying BE. Now, of course, when it does beat by quite a bit. But historically, you are better fading the options. Right, let's CLS 290p, the weekly, spicy weeklies. So something going on here. When does this report? This report's not tomorrow, so it's not an earnings trade. It's just something. Don't know if they're buying or selling. We just know that they're probably opening. You'll see open interest increase by likely whatever the volume is, close enough to that. So who knows what they're doing? Who knows? but you can see it's probably responsible for this little creep in the net put premium. Again, the 290 put expiring tomorrow, which started filling at 135, which is right around here, I guess. So who knows? Let me click here. Someone has posted this. Amazon 265 end of month. So they were opened on the 3rd. And they're still open now because there's no activity to suggest that they had left. So we know for certain that they were open. It opened at the bid, so maybe the initial read was that they short. I mean, these were so far in the money to begin with, so like I feel like it wasn't really worth looking at to begin with. So on the 3rd, what was it trading at? The stock was trading at 237 when they opened the 265p. So like probably not really that significant for us directionally, because it's so far in the money. So who knows? But if it was a buy, then they're making a lot of money. If it wasn't, then they're obviously sad. 5 minutes left. Joe's asking about the NVO. We looked at that a little bit ago. Where is it? Did I see it? Nope. So I mean, just a clear opener. 477 open interest going into the session. Massive 20,000 stick. We looked at the tape. The tape looked okay. There was a big jump in the ask at the tail end of the fills. Not as clean as I would like it to be, but cleaner than other stuff I guess we've seen is an okay way to put it. Who knows? I mean, like that Trump RX shit is happening after hours, so I don't know if that has anything to do with this. I don't know if it'll affect this at all. This thing's been getting shellacked lately after a nice little run. All right, let's see Joe coming in here with another one. The PFE 26P, not C, excuse me. The 26P 320. So some openers happening right now. About 40K volume coming in here. We can see that net put premium ripping. Does this thing report? This thing does not report tomorrow or ever soon. So probably not. Well, it's not an earnings trade because it's so far away. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I guess we can look at the tape here. What does the tape look like? So yeah, when they're filling. The tape gives us like many timestamps that we want to see, but we don't really get much more information than that. Yeah, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would guess SPY's to open, but without 100% confidence. Cool. All right, let's look at the last one, the Jobby 9P. Jobby 9P, a clear opener, 1,000 volume, and there's only 321 open interest going into the session. There is some volume before that could have potentially created some more contracts, but even still, this big candle cannot be anything but an open. $50,000 candle, not the biggest candle we've ever seen, not the smallest either. I wonder if these are short puts potentially. It all fills at the same second. It all fills at the 3:26:17 second. And there potentially was a 72 bid that existed the whole time, which would make most of these fills. I mean, I guess they would still be filling at the. I mean, excuse me. There might have been a 49 ask the whole time, is what I meant to say. I guess I meant to say both. There might have been a 42 bid and a 49 ask the whole time. So it's possible that all of these technically really filled at a 42-49 bid ask, which would make them likely as short puts. But again, don't know that for certain. Just speculating. The tape is a little fuzzy here. Yeah, this isn't an exact science, right? If I wrote a book about it, like I don't even know what I would say. I would just be like, sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. This time it's a little bit hazy. All right, I think that is about to do it. Any closing thoughts? Again, sorry for the outage earlier today. It's unacceptable. We're going to work on improving our infrastructure so that we can avoid situations like that again. We'll be back with our usual stream schedule next week. Nick and Jurassic Mondays and Wednesdays at the open, and I just kind of do my thing Thursday. Might do a bonus open interest stream in the pre-market sometime as I do. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Good luck tonight with Amazon earnings.